All right, guys, here we are. We are live. I'm sorry this was an unannounced live stream. I just decided this was an impromptu thing based on the events of today. Events I'm going to talk about in a little while when we get a few more people in here. But literally the most important day so far in the history of Fights with Friends. And the history of my short YouTube career, as much fun as everything has been, this is the culmination. This is the biggest guest. I think, in my mind, this is the biggest guest you could possibly get as a beginning channel. I decided I'm going to do a Ultimate Fighter. I figure I'm watching Ultimate Fighter Undefeated. I turned it on a little late. I thought, what the heck? I'm going to go ahead and head online and do a companion. Do a Ultimate Fighter companion. So, I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know if anybody's actually watching the Ultimate Fighter right now, but I know, and I didn't do last week, so I know it seems a little inconsistent. What's up, RS? I don't know if you watched my video already earlier, but I have an incredible announcement to make when we have some more people come in there. I'm going to wait a little while. If you haven't watched the video yet, I'm going to wait a little while. We're going to do some Ultimate Fighter companion. I decided I'm going to watch the Ultimate Fighter, so what the hell, I'll surprise everybody and go live. I might as well. It's, you know, I enjoy watching the shows and watching the fights more when I do this anyways, when I broadcast it, because I think it makes me pay more attention, and I get a chat with you guys. I get a chat with RS, one of my good online friends. Man, we had a great chat the other day when we were talking about boxing, the old days of boxing, and that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that, RS. And I think today we might go back and talk about some of the first days of the UFC, to be honest, and you know, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So anybody who watched the video earlier, please don't don't spoil it yet for everyone. I'm gonna make everybody wait just a little while, RS. Are you the only one in here, RS? There's 3 people in here. You know what, RS? Just since you tuned in, you stayed with me for like an hour after my stream the other night, dude.
I like to come into the kitchen in the morning. It's usually a pretty positive vibe. So
April 27th was the 25th anniversary of the UFC. Literally one of the most exciting times of my growing up. As a teenager, I was 14 years old. First couple I had to rent on VHS. I believe it was UFC 3 or 4. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. That we ended up watching the first one on pay-per-view. My best friend Sergio, we talked his dad into letting us get the pay-per-view, and it literally changed my life. I know that sounds cliche, but I mean, I got into boxing, got into judo. I had just watched Enter the Dragon around that time, and I had watched some boxing. But I got into judo right afterwards. But it's like, man, never seen anything like this. I felt like I was such a big fan of Enter the Dragon. I hope you've watched Enter the Dragon. First time I watched Enter the Dragon, I watched it with a good friend of mine, Ben. It was in about the 4th or 5th grade. We watched Ike Obiabuchi versus Tua. Awesome fight, man. That fight was incredible. Was that on YouTube? I don't know. I have it on DVD. I was talking to my son saying I need to download, talking to young David that I need to download all these DVDs that I have of all these hundreds of old boxing matches before they disappear. I mean, I got stuff back to Ollie and Liston, but I also, You know, I got so much from the 90s. I used to just record everything. Literally, I have every single Mike Tyson fight ever. And I think I already talked to you about this. So, and every single one of Roy Jones up until a few years ago, you know, when he kind of got too old. But after the Tarver matches, after Glenn Johnson, after some of these other things. But
I see it as being a barn burner, you know, I really do. I think it's going to be...
Yeah, on May 4th, I'm going to have this guest at 11 a.m. Pacific, RS. I don't know what time that is, your time. But like I said, April 27th was the 25th anniversary. On July 5th, this man will be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. I talked with him today. I felt like a little fangirl. I couldn't even talk to the guy. I've been listening to interviews of him so much. And, you know, I don't get nervous. I've interviewed a lot of different fighters and a lot of different people. I've been in the executive world. I mean, I've been, you know, at openings where you're with the company president all the time. You're with the company VPs, you know. Literally, you know, I've met Robert Kraft face to face because we did deals with Kraft. And there was no real nerves in that. I was able to sit in on those deals just fine. I mean, I wasn't dealing directly with Robert Kraft, but I've been in the same room with him. Just talking to this guy online and on the phone, I was so nervous. I said I couldn't work for like a couple of hours. I mean, I could work, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't work like normal. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I just in disbelief of what had just happened, and also how nice this guy was. I'm gonna turn a little more light on. Sorry, I'm gonna lay the drama on just a little bit here.
I've actually never felt this good before a fight.
I don't know. Actually, I think the light's fine. That's a little dark, but I don't want to get too much glare in here. All right, RS. On Friday, May the 4th be with us at 11 a.m. Pacific. The creator and co-founder of the motherfucking UFC, brother, Art motherfucking Davey. I will be interviewing him here on Fights with Friends. I am so excited, man, that I'm like speechless. I'm so freaking excited. It's hard to, you know, it was hard to even think about anything else. I was listening to a couple of his interviews, watching some old UFCs and stuff, just listening to his voice over and over again. Reading his book some, trying to think of it in his voice, and that's kind of how I try to get over the nervousness of being around this guy. I think I'm more nervous. I'd be more nervous talking about him than I would be talking to Dana White. Why was the deal about? It's the food thing you were on?
I'm here to do a job. I don't care who it is. A job's a job. We're here to fight and be the best in the world. Fight the best in the world. And
oh, the deal with Robert Kraft. Yeah, when I was working with Winco Foods. We were buying. We literally bought. It was like 800 trucks of Kraft mac and cheese, Kraft barbecue sauce, and Kraft products, 80-foot trucks, and that was just for a 3-month sale with Winco. So it was a huge deal, and Robert Kraft sat in on it, and Kraft drove all the trucks. They had drivers drive all the trucks directly to our stores. So that was a hundreds of millions of dollars. And, I mean, we were able to give people, we got amazing deals. we were able to give people amazing deals.
You know that's poison ivy, right?
Yeah, no.
So look him up, man. Art Davey, look him up. He has a book called "Is This Legal?" And he's the one who came up with the idea for the UFC. And some of the ideas that he had when he first came up with the UFC, it's crazy. There was no rules at first. Not even no biting or fish hooking. It was they talked about having electricity on the outside of the cage. There were talks of, things for show, of course, about fire on the outside of the cage, about literally having an alligator pit outside of the cage. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, none of us would be here watching what we're watching, doing what we're doing. None of these industries, forget about the MMA industry. How many industries has that created? Comments are delayed, RS. Sorry, man. I was trying this out on this. What's up, Dean? How's it going? I was trying this out on this new thing on YouTube where it's supposed to give me some more ad revenue and stuff to have this delay. I don't like it though. I think I'm not going to do this again. I think I'm not going to do it because the delay is too much for me, and I don't want to have that much delay with you guys. At least for anything that really matters, where we're coercing like this, maybe for interviews. But how's it going, Dean? Did you see my announcement? I know you see my announcement because I think you liked it earlier on Facebook. You have the founder of the UFC, Art Davey. Hopefully Dean knows who he is. On the show, we got a time and a date, Dean. 11 a.m. Pacific, May 4th. So I think that's poetic. Like, may the force be with you, may the fourth be with you. And on Friday, may the force be with me, because I'm a little nervous. I was super nervous when I first figured this out, when I first realized what was going on. And I talked to this guy, nicest guy in the world, super nice guy. Things I'd heard about him, I knew he was like a deal maker. He was this guy that has like kind of all these crazy ideas and things. So I was pretty nervous about talking to him. And like I said, afterwards, things are good with us, Dean. Things are really good. Sorry, this is on a little bit of a delay. We're on maybe about a minute delay. But it's because of the setting I have on YouTube for ads. But it looks like that came in right about on, so maybe about a 30-second delay. But yeah, we're doing good. The daughter, your granddaughter, she's doing the play, doing Pippin right now, and doing some fun things. Hell yeah, way cool, says the, yeah, I'm excited, man. Hey, anybody who's watched Ultimate Fighter, I'm going to go ahead and call the fight, because that's what I do. I know you don't get it on FS1, but we got Pena and Martinez, Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. Oh, Pena going with some right hands up against Martinez. Yeah, Pena, they call him the Violent Bob Ross. I like this guy. Just landed a nice body kick. I want a front kick to the face, and Martinez, right hand, right uppercut behind it for Martinez. Martinez comes back with a nice three-punch combo, pushing Pena up against the fence there. The Violent Bob Ross, and they're in the middle of the cage. Pena goes for a front kick in the middle of the cage. Martinez catches a couple of them. Pena, nice head kick, lands a jab, and Martinez comes forward, lands a 1-2, and Pena comes back with a couple nice knees, one to the head and one to the body. Beautiful 1-2. Martinez is he's finding a spot for that right hand, though, and a nice body kick from Martinez. That's Team Miocic, Martinez. Team Cormier, Pena. Pena lands the left hook on the right hand. Martinez, another 1-2. He's got a great right hand. Nice body kick lands from Pena. Oh, Pena goes for that big head kick. He's got about a 6-inch height advantage and reach advantage. Does Pena. Nice body shot, right hook from Martinez. And Martinez tries to come inside. Anybody who doesn't know who Pena is so far, if you watch the commercials, they call him the Violent Bob Ross. And he's got this really cool fro and the mustache. Oh, beautiful judo throw. Beautiful Ichimana from Pena, but Martinez rolls him over, and they get back up. Martinez, pushing Pena against the fence with 2 brutal knees to the body from the Violent Bob Ross. Mr. Pena there, and they exchange jabs in the middle of the ring. Middle of the cage. They both miss. Oh, nice jab gets through. That was a hard straight jab gets through from Martinez. Big right elbow gets through from Martinez, and he pushes Pena up against the cage. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this first round. This is a great fight so far. I wasn't really paying attention to the rest of it so much, but before this, but this is a great fight so far. Nice head kick from Pena. Front body kick from Pena. Oh, flying knee to the body for Pena. You don't see that a lot, and he landed it well. Pena goes for a hip throw there. Martinez blocking it very well and getting back up to feet. Nice elbow off the break against the fence. 2 uppercuts and a knee to the head from Pena. Beautiful combinations. His striking looks great. Couple nice throws from Pena. Takedown defense has been great for Martinez, and he's been landing that right hand. But Pena's definitely getting the better of his first round, and Martinez's face is a little cut up. Minute and 40 seconds. Beautiful body kick from Pena there. And Cormier coaching Pena saying, go for that body kick. Oh, big right hand from Martinez. Another big right hand. That really landed on Pena. I don't think he's hurt, but that was definitely a really hard right hand. Martinez looks tired already, though. He's against the fence. Pena just punishing the body. 2 more knees to the body, 3 knees up against the fence there. Minute and 15 seconds left in the first round. That'll make, even though this is only the first round, that'll make you tired when you go to the body that violently. Nice left hook from Pena. Remember, these will be 2 rounds. Pena the southpaw, the Cormier guy, Martinez. Nice front kick from Pena, lands to the body. Martinez, orthodox on Team Miocic. Beautiful straight right hand. Oh, and beautiful 1-2 from Pena. Oh, beautiful right hooks. Lands for Martinez, but Pena counters with the right hook back of his own and a left hook, and drops Martinez for just a second. Kind of a flying shovel elbow from Pena lands. Martinez throws wild shots and missed, and Pena punishes him with uppercuts, hooks, and a flying knee. Uppercuts, hooks up against the fence. 22. Martinez now defending himself. Whoa, spinning flying kick for Pena. Or for Martinez, just barely misses. Pena with the big right hand. He throws like a running shovel elbow. Beautiful uppercut from Pena. Big left hand for the southpaw Pena. Another one there. And Martinez misses a 1-2 and lands a wheel kick at the bell. What a hell of a round. This is actually a hell of a fight. RS says Art Davey has a sport that's a mix between MMA and arm wrestling. It's crazy. I've seen that Arm X. I don't know that he's still doing that anymore. I'm going to look that up. I haven't seen anything about it yet. But yeah, he's a wild dude. And he was a great businessman. He came up with so many things. Super smart guy. He had to have the help of some other people with inside MMA. If you don't know the history, RS, the Gracie brothers, I believe it was one of Royce's older Gracie. I want to say Roner Gracie. I was listening to this today. I could be wrong, but I want to say Roner Gracie co-founded the UFC with Art Davey. It was Art Davey's idea, but he had to get the Gracies behind him. And Roner Gracie, like I said, I won't I'll make sure that that doesn't happen again. But yeah, he is a crazy dude. That arm wrestle, I've watched that arm wrestling thing a couple times. That's absolutely nuts. And the times that he spent trying to keep that fight, trying to keep that thing legal. The only way they were able to ever actually get the first UFC sanctioned was a law from the 1800s, which said that under certain circumstances that states could legalize bare-knuckle boxing matches. So what happened is they went by that law and ended up using that. Now, after it was like UFC 5, the UFC was having so many issues as far as TV, pay-per-views, different things. I don't want to ruin everything from the interview, but they were in dire financial trouble. They were in debt. They were having a really hard time getting sanctioned in different states. And Art Davies sold it to another guy. I can't remember the name of the guy right now, but it wasn't the Fertitta brothers yet. He sold it to the Fertitta brothers for a couple $1 million. The people who took it over ended up having it for a little while and then selling it to Fertitta brothers for a couple $1 million. It was hugely in debt when they sold it to the Fertitta brothers. And as you probably know, The Ultimate Fighter is what saved it. Dana White was actually apologizing to the Fertitta brothers at the time. He was kind of like, hey, you know, this really didn't work out. I'm sorry about this. You know, maybe it's just time to cut bait and go. I'm sorry you lost all this money. And then this network coming around called Spike, he started talking with Spike and Viacom and things, and he said, I think I might be able to get this thing work on Spike, but I'm not sure it's worth the money. I have to invest $10 million we would have to pay to put the show on, The Ultimate Fighter. And up until the last week, Dana White thought it was a failure. Up until the finale of Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, and now you probably know the story, 10 million people started watching, and the rest is history, and that's what saved the UFC. Second round of this fight between Martinez and Pena. Beautiful right hand up against for the fence for Pena. Oh, they exchange in the middle of the cage. Beautiful combo for Pena and Martinez there. Pena misses with a straight left hook, and Martinez throws a combination to the body there. 30 seconds into the second round, and there's a ton of action already. Beautiful 1-2. Oh, nice hook and uppercut from the violent Bob Ross. Pena. Martinez lands a flying spin kick and a left hook, right hand, overhand right. This is a very even matchup. I think Pena won that first round. Nice front kick to the body from Pena. Oh, front kick to the head for Pena Martinez. Martinez's face is bloodied. Nice 1-2. I think Pena's got, oh, beautiful right hand over the top from Martinez. I think Pena's got the cardio advantage, and Pena gets underhooks. Martinez gets out of it with underhooks. Very hard to throw someone when you're so much taller, and Pena is a lot taller than Martinez. Pena lands a nice 1-2. Martinez lands a nice straight jab over the top. Beautiful kick to the body from Pena. Nice side kick to the body from Pena, and a straight left from the southpaw. Right hook to the body from Martinez, and he throws a 1-2. Big right hook from Martinez, pushing Pena up against this fence. We don't know how the judges have this. I imagine they probably have the first round for Pena. This first round is a stalemate. 2 minutes in, it could go either way. Stipe is standing up screaming. Cormier, straight left, lands for Pena. Right uppercut. Martinez comes back with the right hook. Straight right and a left hook for Martinez. Oh, they exchange hooks in the middle of the cage. This is brilliant. A left hook from Pena. This is a brilliant war. Nice 1-2 from Martinez. Another beautiful 1-2 from Martinez. Pena throws him to the ground. Comes up with 3 uppercuts. Pushes Martinez up against the fence. Martinez is able to escape. Flying knee, right hook, left hook combo, and double uppercut for Pena. This guy throws punches and bunches, and he lands knees and elbows with it. Beautiful straight left from the Violent Bob Ross. Oh, Pena misses the flying knee there. Martinez lands a nice leg kick and switches it up. Lands a left leg kick, then a right leg kick. He's punishing all of a sudden that front leg of Pena. Then he distracts him, lands a right hook over the top, and Pena goes for the underhooks up against the fence. He's trying to get a takedown. 2 minutes left in the second round. Pena won the first round. So far, I think Martinez is winning this round. Pena lands a knee to the body there. He's pushing Martinez up against the fence. Right uppercut for Pena. Knees, oh, big elbow over the top on a right uppercut for Pena. That might have evened up the round right there. Straight front kick lands for Pena. 1:40 left in the second round. Beautiful fight. Great leg kicks exchanged by both men. Martinez misses some wild hooks. Pena misses with a left hook over the top. Nice 1-2 lands for Pena. Action's almost too fast to call here. Beautiful jabs and straight lefts coming through for Pena. Oh, he's landing everything right now. He's got that tie clinch. He just landed a flying knee and a right uppercut. Martinez is a tough SOB. 1:10 left in the second round. There will be only 2 rounds unless there is a draw, and then there'll be a third and deciding round. Beautiful knee to the body lands for Martinez. Pena pushing him up against the fence, and they break with 55 seconds left in the round. Martinez misses the 1-2. Lands a left hook over the top. Right hook, straight left. Martinez may need the finish here. He lands the 1-2, and he probably knows it. 45 seconds left. Pena lands the right hook over the top. Martinez lands a body kick. Spinning back fist for Pena. Martinez ducks underneath it. Right hand over the top lands for Martinez. Pena lands that shuffle elbow and a straight left behind it. Another straight left for the Violent Bob Ross. Oh, he hurt him with that right hook. Right hook and straight left for Pena. He hurt Martinez. That busted his nose open. Martinez talking to him. And Martinez gets the takedown. 10 seconds left for just a second. Pena jumps right up. They exchange leg kicks. Blood all over both guys. It's all for Martinez, though. They exchange 1-2s at the bell. I thought Pena did enough to pull the second round out. I think he won both rounds. We know how these referees can be with takedowns, though. Even though the takedown wasn't very long, they could give him the whole round. Nope, no cap tonight.
It's exactly what we thought.
I didn't announce I was going to do this, Dean. This was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I was watching it, and I decided why not start live streaming, because it's just as easy, and it's actually fun, and it makes me better. It's good practice. Griffin versus Bonner changed MMA forever. Absolutely right, RS. Dean says, great play-by-play. Can you throw a clock check every once in a while? Will do, man. I will tell people how much time is left more often. What's the deal with TUF? Who gets a contract? So there's 2 weight classes, and whoever wins the finals from both weight classes will get a contract. And then in the past, a lot of times the other finalists, when there's been a really great fight, I think this is a 28th season, there's been a few times where they've offered 2 contracts. Of course, Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin both got contracts. Luke Kumo, who's been on the show, of course, my buddy Luke, he got a contract. He was a finalist against Joe Stevenson. Joe Stevenson won the final fight, even though Luke Kumo cut him up. Joe Stevenson got more takedowns, and Dana White gave them both contracts.
All right, all 3 judges scored this fight 20-18.
Well, thank you, Dean. I'm really enjoying this the more and more I'm doing it, and I hope I'm getting better. I feel like I'm getting better. This guy seems super marketable. Luis Pena. Like I said, they call him the Violent Bob Ross. He's artistic in the cage. He goes for a lot of flashy moves. He throws a lot of front kicks, head kicks, spinning back fists, spinning body kicks. Very, very fan-friendly style. and he's got a fan-friendly personality. So if he wins this, that could be really good for the UFC. And either way, a lot of these guys that have not won contracts end up in the UFC. When they have the final night, if you haven't watched the finale, RS, when they have the finale, they'll have a couple other fights on there. They'll always have big fights. They'll have guys that are have been in the UFC already, and then they'll usually have at least 2 fights of fighters that were on the show. And a lot of times they'll sign them to more fights after that. They might not sign them to a long contract, but a lot of guys that didn't win the Ultimate Fighter ended up in the UFC, especially from that first season. You look at Josh Koscheck, he didn't win it. He ended up in Chris Lieben. Of course, the other winner of that year was Diego Sanchez. He was in the finale against Kenny Florian, who there were... Well, thank you, Dean. I appreciate it. Yes, RS, almost 2,000 subs. I'm excited, man. I'm hoping by the end of this month to hit 2,000 subs. And I actually got contact from the Seattle PI. It's a newspaper in Seattle. Was founded in the 1880s. It's actually not in paper print anymore, but it's online. They contacted me about doing an interview, coming in there, doing some stuff on my show. I'm hoping I'm able to get in there and get that on time. It'd have to be tomorrow. Hoping to be able to get there, to be able to do it, so they can announce the interview and hopefully get more people, get behind like a home team kind of thing. I mean, there's not a whole lot of MMA shows in Seattle. This is the biggest one by far. Devin the Roofer, I'm friends with, that I've talked with. He's one of the other ones. I think he's got around 100 and something. Great guy, but he just hasn't had as much time to spend on it. And I plan on eventually doing some fight companions with him. It would be really nice to have someone else on the other side to talk to while we're doing it. How long have you been watching UFC, though, Dean? I have to ask. Well, I said I've been watching it from the very beginning. When did you guys start, both of you? And Violent Bob Ross is on the Tough Talk afterwards. If you do have FS1 or if you can go online, they have a thing now called Tough Talk. It's a whole hour afterwards, and it's Karen Bryan and Michael Bisping. I think they have other people on there sometimes that interview, and they're interviewing Luis Pena, the Violent Bob Ross, the guy that was the winner. And they pretty much they interview him every time they interview the winner, it looks like.
You would think that, but honestly, not at all. You saw the fight. I threw pretty much everything at him.
Now, these aren't live. These guys have to stay in the house. They only did one season that was live, and I guess it was an issue. Demetrius Johnson is in Seattle. I know the gym that he works out at, actually, and I want to get him in. I just booked this with Art Davey today, so I'm trying to get in contact with as many people that knew him before he sold the UFC. I've tried to get the guy I would really like to, and you may not know some of these guys, RS. I would really like to get Marco Huas, King of the Streets, on here. He was one of my favorite fighters, one of the only fighters to ever end a fight with leg kicks. I've tried to get a hold of Tank Abbott. He used to have a podcast. He hasn't uploaded anything in a couple of years, and he just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Last I heard, he might be in New Zealand or Iceland. So, maybe he doesn't want to be found. If that's the case, I understand. I started maybe 3-4 years ago, but my dad used to watch it and tell me about it. Well, any time's a good time to pick it up. How old are you, RS, if you don't mind me asking? I'm 39, so like I was saying before, I think I've said I was I was 14 years old. I turned 15 in September of that year. The UFC happened. What's up, Seven? UFC 81. I started to remember who debuted. Who debuted in UFC 81?
You say a normal fight, but as you just said, you did house chores at 4 a.m. with your opponent. That isn't normal. Of course, you don't live.
That's a good question.
Did any of that throw you off?
No, not
Give me a minute.
Like I'm a very mentally strong person because of
It might have been Brock Lesnar.
It was really easy for me to.
Because by UFC 100, Brock Lesnar was fighting.
Myself for this fight to be able to go out there.
Was fighting in the big times in the championship. I'm going to say Brock Lesnar. I'm probably wrong. But Dean says probably 6 years. I used to run pay-per-views through my VCR and have some fights on tape. Pettis versus Henderson was one of them. That was a great fight. The WEC fight, the off the cage kick, the Showtime kick, that was great. RS says AMC Pancration. Matt Hume is an MMA god when it comes to pure MMA knowledge. Absolutely. Yeah, that guy is absolutely incredible.
If I can help, kind of bring people together.
20. Okay, so you were not born when the UFC was around, because it's been around for 25 years now. So, but I'm glad your dad was into it, and I'm glad he got you into it, RS, and I'm glad you get into some of the old boxing, even in the 90s. Dean says GSP, that's his guess. I think GSP was in before 81, because I'm pretty sure GSP was definitely in before 81, because he got submitted by Matt Hughes, I want to say in UFC 46, and won it back in UFC 50-something. I don't remember for sure.
When I was on the show all those years ago, of course, when you're on.
But GSP may be coming back soon. Well, thank you. Hey, that was a good guess. That was a good guess. I was just trying to kind of guess the timeline of that time. So 81, and it was against Heath Herring, I believe.
Training, I felt as though I separated myself from
they called him Crazy Horse as well, the Crazy Horse Heath Herring. And he had his hair dyed like 18 different colors.
Well, you bring up something interesting here.
Right at the beginning of the fight, I think Lesnar hit him with a right hand, and Herring rolled all the way across the cage and got back up. Anyone remember the old PKA promotion? Doesn't sound familiar, actually.
No. Then why waste the energy
Was it?
complaining about it?
What was the PKA promotion, Dean?
What's the deal with the interaction there with DC?
All right, so
I remember my big thing before UFC was I was watching a lot of Thai boxing. Of course, we had to get all of that. We had to rent it on VHS because Thai boxing still hasn't caught on in the United States. RS says, yes, my dad was always into boxing and MMA. I usually watch a lot of those old fights on YouTube that my dad talks about. It is great. A lot of the old boxing matches, they're able to get them on YouTube. And I'm glad that they haven't been pulled. I think there's an issue. I think they would pull them with the copyrights, but there were so many co-promotions that a lot of these fights, I think not one person actually owns them. It was against Frank Mir the first time, huh? Okay. Mir kneed-barred the hell out of Lesnar in 81. Yep, I remember. I know the first time that they fought, that Mir knee-barred him. And then when Brock Lesnar came back and beat him, he said he pulled the horseshoe out of his ass to imply that it was a lucky thing. But it was a great move by Mir. And Lesnar didn't know how to defend it, of course, at the time. It's just a freak of nature. But yeah, it's great. I'm glad they're still able to have all the old boxing YouTube matches on there.
I think this was going to happen.
Pro Karate Association. I should have said that. I almost said that. I never watched it. Did Chuck Norris fight in that? I know Chuck Norris was a karate world champion way back. And I don't know if it was called Pro Karate Association, but he was karate world champion for years before he went in the movies, and I think still while he was acting, while he was in Return of the Dragon with Bruce Lee, he was actually a karate world champion. And he actually had to put on weight for Return of the Dragon because they wanted him to be this big, heavy guy. And everybody talks about Bruce. And I had thought until recently, everybody had talked about Bruce being like 135, 140 pounds. And Chuck Norris came out. He was talking in an interview here recently. He said, actually, Bruce, at least in that movie, was about 185 pounds. So, I mean, you've seen the muscle tone on that guy and the cardio on him, 185 pounds. I imagine he had to have been amazingly strong, like a Yoel Romero or something. 3 knockdown ruin. Brad Hefton loved his foot sweeps. He won many fights with those sweeps. I should look some of those up on YouTube.
Well, so you know an animal lover like
yeah, like I said, I don't know if Chuck Norris was in it then. What about the Rufus brothers? Dean, was Rick Rufus, and I believe his brother Bill.
Anyway,
I know they were some of the, you know, the first big Taekwondo guys, first big karate guys, and then they got into Thai boxing and didn't know leg kicks at first. And they quickly learned leg kicks when they started facing these Thai guys. And when Rick Rufus first win against a Thai guy, he lost very, very badly. It was the first Thai match I ever watched on VHS. And this guy kicked Rick Rufus's legs until he couldn't stand anymore and actually broke his leg. He couldn't walk anymore. I'm pretty sure his leg was broken, and Rick Rufus had no idea of what to do with it. And the Rufus brothers, right afterwards in interviews, I remember them saying, and I'll never forget this, that it doesn't take any skill to land leg kicks. And they, of course, have changed their mind on that since then, because they've trained a lot of world champions, and they're actually working with a lot of people right now. One of the people Rick Rufus is working with right now is actually CM Punk for his fight coming up at UFC 225 against Mike Jackson. Talking about those old MMA guys, Matt Hughes is one of my favorites ever, not because of his technical skill, but for all the aura and the country boy spirit. He just picked them up and slammed them. Rufus with an S, yeah. Can't get any more simple. Yeah, I loved Matt Hughes. He was definitely my favorite fighter for quite a while there, and he's definitely right there in my top fighters. He did a season of The Ultimate Fighter. He might have done 2. I know he did at least 1, and I thought he was absolutely phenomenal on there. He did it against Matt Serra, I believe, and so I think he did one before that. I think he may have coached against Rich Franklin in one of the first ones. I'm not positive, though, but it seems like he did more than one. And yeah, Matt Hughes was brilliant, though, and he had some of the most epic wins. Super strong farm guy, but a lot of those wins, he was just grit and determination. And he's actually fighting, who won the fight you just called? Luis Pena. Luis Pena is on Cormier's team, and he went on against Martinez, dominated. Rufus working with Woodley, too. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me. He works with a lot of fighters. Definitely one of the absolute best karate coaches out there. Just their family is almost like, when it comes to striking, they're almost like the Gracies when it comes to grappling. And that's one of the things, like I was talking about, I believe it was Rory and Gracie co-founded the UFC with Art Davie. Was Art Davie's original idea. And excuse me, a blank there. Of course, Hoist came in it, and he went through like the first 4, and then Hoist didn't want to do it anymore. What Art ended up realizing was Rorion really wanted to bring in the Gracies, and he wanted the UFC to be a conduit to the world to show off Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Art Davies started learning that, and he started going against him a little bit. He started actually Oleg Taktarov, who won UFC 6. When Oleg Taktarov came in, he had sent a tape in, and he rolled with some guys. He rolled with a couple of the Gracies. He rolled with Rorion and I think a couple other guys. I believe he rolled with Hickson. And Art Davie asked him, he says, is this guy any good? And he says, no, he's garbage. Well, the reason was Oleg Taktarov was a leg bar and heel hook guy. And for whatever reason, leg submissions were very frowned upon back then among what was considered true jiu-jitsu practitioners. Kind of like leg kicks were in karate way back. That's why you're finally seeing such an evolution of leg bars right now. Ben Askren too, for sure. But Art Davie went against Rorion Gracie, ended up giving Oleg Taktarov a chance. Of course, he went on to win UFC 6. It was in Denver, Colorado against Tank Abbott. An incredible fight. Of course, at Mile High, the stamina issue ended up getting to Tank Abbott, which Tank admitted later. He became exhausted in the finals, and Oleg Taktarov ended up submitting him with a heel hook. But Oleg Taktarov was living in his car and didn't speak any English when Art Davie first met him. So Art Davie, his brother, actually is fluent in Russian, so he had to have him translate for him to figure out what was going on and get him in there. So he ended up going in there and ended up being, you know, a great practitioner in the UFC. Of course, like I said, winning UFC 6. Fighting as Bruce Buffer. Check me out. I'm streaming UFC 3. What's your channel name, Dallas? I will check out your channel later, man. You're on my channel. I'll check you out. What would you tell people about this matchup? So I'm getting some flashing from the sun there. It's getting dark. I'm turning on some light.
Stipe, what is going on, my friend? DC is running away with the ball. What do you say?
I thought you finished.
All right, okay.
No, I was trying to make an analogy of Stipe. Have you ever been down rounds in a fight and then come back to win?
I probably have. Honestly, I don't know. I just keep fighting until I win.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to, that's right. Well, so listen, the show has not started out all that great.
There we go. I'll turn that around. I think that'd get a little more light.
2020. I'm going to give you a soundbite from the show, and you tell us what.
But yeah, I will check it out, definitely, Dallas. I've been playing UFC 3. Super fun game. The submissions are extremely complicated, though.
I've known John for a while. He trains at my gym now. Great guy. John, you know, usually
I will definitely say that.
He takes down, he's like a blanket. He'll get to the top and he grinds and pounds you real well.
Extremely complicated submissions, but I'm liking it. What's up, Community Genius? Thanks for joining us, man.
I think he made a mistake and got caught. It's the fun game, and I think,
I just did Fight Companion on, TUF Companion on the Ultimate Fighter tonight. Luis Pena from Cormier's team beat Stipe's guy Martinez. It was a super entertaining fight. Luis Pena, they call him the Violent Bob Ross. He's got a really cool throw like Bob Ross and really creative moves. What was your channel's name again, Dallas? I'm going to check it out. Maybe I'll learn something from you. But Comedic Genius, I hope you know who this guy is if you're a UFC fan. Michael Bisping voice, easiest recognizable voice. Yep, exactly. Yeah, he's interviewing Stipe on here. Him and Karen Bryant.
That picture does sum you up,
But Comedic Genius, I'm going to have a great guest on May 4th. If you haven't watched the video yet, May the 4th be with us at 11 a.m. Pacific. The creator and founder of the frickin' UFC, Art frickin' Davies, is going to be on here at 11 a.m. I'm actually taken off of work early, and we have a corporate visit that day, so the owner, my boss, is real happy with me. Yeah, the comments are like a minute delayed. I'm going to fix that in the future, RS. I don't know if you guys are getting overlay ads or anything. Let me know if you guys are getting any ads. I hate to give you guys more ads, but it's the only way that I can make any revenue. Like, literally, besides donations. And I hate begging for donations.
If you were on that bus that Connor attacked, what would you have done?
I think it all depends. I think if someone
So,
got
but
hurt or if my wife,
yeah, Comedic Genius. Art Davey co-founded the UFC with Rory and Gracie. Of course, April 27th, just a few days ago, was 25th anniversary of the UFC. July 5th, Art Davey will be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. But first, on May 4th, he'll be on this channel. And I will interview him on here. Super nice guy, but I'll tell you, I've been super nervous all day since I talked to him. Since I found out that I was going to be interviewing him, I've felt like a fanboy.
You are obviously a champion, and we know as a fireman you're a very honorable guy, but do you actually think about a certain regard that a champion should carry himself in?
So I think my daughter may be ready to be picked up. I'm going to text her. I have to pick her up from school, so I may have to go here in a minute.
On little kids, you know, I think it just like, you know, a lot of things are on TV. You know, they see that, they feel like they should do that too. You know, they're very impressionable.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Stipe. You're obviously a real champ in and out of.
So yeah, like I said before, sorry again for the delayed comments, but Dallas, just click on them. You'll see the videos. Oh, click on me. You'll see the videos. Gotcha. Okay. I will check out your channel later, Dallas. I believe you're subscribed to me, if you're in my subscriptions. If you're not subscribed to me, then forget you. I'm not checking out your channel. But that's how it works. Turnabout fair play. I'm sure if you're asking me, you're subscribed to the channel, though.
It's Pena versus Bisping next on Tough Talk.
So, all right, basically I wanted to get that out there, though, so you guys could start studying. People that don't know who he is know a little bit about, you know, the founding of this sport. And it's really cool. I think it's really cool that, you know, I'm not even 40 years old, and I was 14 years old. The sport is so young, 25 years. RS is 2 weeks from now. The king of MMA, Lord of Combat Universe will step in the cage. You know who I'm talking about. And I will be calling his fight, RS. Comedic Genius says, have some edibles to relax you.
Favorite TV show?
Yeah, I'm definitely not taking edibles during the interview, RS.
Best walk-up song?
I'm drinking a beer. That's.
Waffles or pancakes?
But I've only drinking like half a beer, luckily, because I have to go and pick up my daughter. And I didn't even think about it. I just cracked open a beer, and now I realize I drank like half of it. So I don't drink and drive, so I'm going to stop drinking it. Be warm when I get back, but I'm not drinking and driving. So one quick update before I get off here. Anybody that's on here still that knows Dutch Guy. If you guys didn't see before, Dutch Guy that runs MMA Newsroom. Hopefully you guys are subscribed to him. If you've seen his channels went black for a while. I hadn't been able to get a hold of him myself. I was worried about him. I'd kind of been starting to think the worst. Unfortunately, he actually was in a horrible car wreck. He broke 7 ribs. His arm, his elbow. He sent me a short video of him. He's got about 17 tubes coming out of him. He is able to set up an email at this point, but you know, if you could give him, send your thoughts and prayers to him. He's asked for support right now. When he got in there, it took him a while to get to me until about 4 or 5 days ago. They literally did not think he was going to make it. Might have been a week, but it was quite a while. They did not think he was going to live at all. Comedic Genius says, ask him about the Reebok deal. That was way after his time, the Reebok deal, but I'm still going to ask him about it because he's really kept up with the sport. That's a great idea. And out of all the things I'd written down, I actually hadn't thought of that. RS says, you want to make money, bet on Master Bader. How do you think the fight plays out? I think Ryan Bader, I think he's faster. I think he's younger. I think he has stronger wrestling. I think he outstrikes King Mo. I'm on your side on this one, and I think he really outpressures him. Probably wins most of the rounds, if not all the rounds. I don't know that he takes him out. If he takes him out, possibly near the third round. But I see this going to a decision because these are 3-round bouts. I really wish, since this is a Grand Prix tournament and these are the main events, Bellator would do 5-round fights for this, but they only do 5-round fights for championships. UFC, of course, does 5-round fights for every main event of every card. They only started doing that a few years ago, though. They were only doing 5-round fights for championship until not that long ago. I'll tell you, one of the things that I really liked, though, was when I was watching California Cage Wars, and I was watching the Guajardo brothers. I'm laughing at Michael Bisping on here. Hector Guajardo fighting the 3-minute rounds. I really like the 3-minute rounds. I almost wish they would go with that in the UFC, honestly, because the guys have so much more energy. There's a reason they've done it in boxing for so long. It's almost like it's too long to change now. When I was in judo, we had some tournaments that were 3-minute rounds, some that were 5. It was very inconsistent, depending on the state and the commission, sometimes just depending on whoever was putting on the tournament. It wasn't, that part wasn't regulated by the USGA, which is the United States Judo Association, at all. Damn, that's messed up. Damn, Soviet Russia. He's Dutch, actually. That's why we call him the Dutch guy, comedic. But yeah, it sucks.
It's a cowboy. It's a hat.
I'm pretty upset about it. But I got to get going because I got to pick up my daughter.
You got three to guess, and you have 30 seconds.
Pena. It's a link.
She's been at theater. They are getting ready for Pippin. I don't know what Pippin is, but it's some theater thing she's doing. She's acting in it, and she's the stage director. So she's got a lot of work there, but looks like she's done. I'm going to go pick her up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope if you guys didn't know who Art Davie was, I hope you look him up, learn a little bit about him before our interview. Just knowing that he was the creator and the founder of the UFC, though, I think even if you didn't know a whole lot about him before, makes it super interesting because there's just... I could sit and talk with the guy all day. I wish I didn't have to go back to work that day. But I imagine I probably will go back that day. I don't want to. I'm going to talk to my boss, and I might go back in on Saturday for a few hours. He's a little stressed because I told him I would want to leave about 9:30, 10. We got corporate people coming in at 10 a.m. Doing an inspection on the show. On the store, but wait, what happened to the Dutch guy? Dutch guy got in a horrible car accident. He didn't give me all the details of the car accident, but is Sonnen still alive in the Grand Prix? All my loves always. Love back to you, Dean. Yes, Sonnen is alive. Did you watch this last week? Fedor versus Frank Mir. Fedor Emelianenko knocked out Frank Mir in the first round, 48-second fight. He will go on, actually, to fight Chael Sonnen in the semifinals of the tournament. So next round is Chael Sonnen and Fedor Emelianenko, and I think that's a really interesting matchup, actually. Fedor is one of the smaller heavyweights. Sonnen's wrestling is very good, obviously. His striking, he can hang with guys in striking.
Fair prices.
I get it. I get it, genius.
Come in for great deals on great gear during our
But anyways, like I said, sorry it cut off, but I gotta go. Sorry also for the format of this delayed chat. I'm not gonna do this again unless I figure this out. I don't even think we're getting ads. I'll check to see what kind of revenue I get out of this, but probably not much. We'll see.
where must we go?
I don't like this being so delayed. I like being able to see your guys' comments immediately and answer them. So we're going to switch back to that. As always, I love you, I respect you, and I'll see your fine asses later.